Welcome back to my little channel. Now, the people who visit my channel regularly know that I live in Europe. And in Europe, we don't have the right to bear arms. We can ask for it, and in some cases we can get it, but it's not an innate right. However, in the United States, it is. Or maybe I should say, it was. Because there have been lots of rules in lots of places to prevent people from bearing arms. Now, why is this so interesting to me? Well, if we look back to the history of America, citizens were allowed to bear arms. Every citizen? Yes. Every citizen. Even the black ones? Yes. Even the black ones. Thing is, there were organizations trying to prevent the black man from owning firearms. These organizations were all linked to what we now would call the Democratic Party. All? Yes, all. Never a Republican spoke out against gun ownership for the black man. They've always wanted to do... They always wanted to give the black man the same rights as the white man had in defending their home and their freedom. So why does this gun control bit constantly return? Well, first, it only affected the black man, because groups like the KKK, democratic groups, or rather groups from the Democratic Party, try to prevent black people owning guns. They created all kinds of little rules and laws to prevent black people from owning guns. And time and again, those rules were overruled by the Supreme Court. Well, more often than not, let me put it like that. But 9 out of 10 times, well, as far as I can tell, 10 out of 10 times, but maybe I missed something, it were Democrats calling for gun control. And if we look at America now, what are the places with the biggest gun control laws? Each and every one of them are democratic. Now, don't get me wrong, more and more Republicans are now swinging towards the gun control laws. But they never helped anyone. They once started to prevent black people from having guns so they couldn't defend themselves. And if we look in America now, the places with the strictest gun control laws are places that have a large contingent of black people living in its society, in its community. And if that isn't good or bad enough, whichever you want to choose, these people are also forced to go without arms. And I know people will say, well, half of the murders in America are by black people. Yeah, that to me has nothing to do with guns. That has to do with criminals. Mind you, that half of the murders are committed by black people does not mean that half of the black people commit murders, because we're still talking about a few percentage at best. And one of the reasons why they can commit murder so easily is because it's very difficult for most citizens in these areas to defend themselves. But criminals lack this, concept of obeying laws. So criminals will have guns where law-abiding citizens do not. Now, mind you, I know that there were also a lot of black people dying because of gang violence and whatnot, and this is also a big problem. But again, laws around guns won't change that. Baltimore has very strict gun laws and a lot of gang homicides. New York, Washington, both were pretty high on the murder scales and are both pretty strict on the gun laws. Chicago. My country has less strict gun laws than Chicago has. But again, massive amounts of murders. Why? Criminals don't care about gun laws. But law-abiding citizens are now also disarmed. And it's not just white law-abiding citizens that are disarmed, it's also black law-abiding citizens that are disarmed. And where the KKK and the Democratic Party started with disarming black people, they moved on. They did. Now they just want to disarm everyone. And I can't understand that people are willing to sacrifice their freedom for an organization that has time and time proven to be unreliable. Governments themselves are something that you should always approach with scrutiny. The Democratic Party in governments is even worse. For example, Bill Clinton basically made it so that soldiers weren't able to have firearms in their towns, camps, encampments. No, that's not true. When they're on mission, obviously they have to have a gun with them all the time. But when they're at home, they're not allowed to have guns with them. Now, if anyone is trained to deal with guns, you would think it's the soldiers. But we don't even trust them with firearms? Yeah, but crime. Yeah, you know, the thing is, people wanting to commit crimes will commit crimes. Gun laws do not prevent crime. But there is a very strong racist tendency, and it stopped being just racist, to be honest. But there was a very strong racist tendency in the Democratic Party. Basically, to be a free man meant you had the right to bear arms. Slaves, however, not so much. This is kind of why the Second Amendment was written. And now we have, in America, loads of people who are not allowed to bear arms. And I know that the Democratic Party has been propagandized in such a way as to make it sound that you don't want to bear arms. Well, you know what? If you don't want to bear arms, don't bear arms. But people are no longer allowed to bear arms. This is something people should look into. This is something people should be scared of. Now, you could do yourself a favor. And now I'm going to shill something. Now I'm not getting paid for this, people, mind you, not getting paid. But you could go look for a book, The Racist Roots of Gun Control. Jim Crow laws were the foundation of gun control in America, and the Ku Klux Klan was America's first gun control group. This is written by David B. Koppel, and you should be able to get it. I will have a link downstairs. Again, no one is paying me for this, but read this, because it does put a new spin on gun control. It once again shows, in my humble opinion, that gun control, in a way, is control over the population. And that's kind of what the founding fathers didn't want to happen in America. And it's kind of what the Democratic Party is constantly pushing for. I understand that there are people in America who like the Democratic Party, who like people like Hillary Clinton. But seriously, look further than what the mainstream media is telling you. Because there is something seriously weird. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Criticism, as always, is more than welcome. And I hope to see you all next time.